Tropical cyclone forecast news, peak hurricane season. But strangely quiet. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the weather news forecast. Today, we bring you a special bulletin. Meteorological records have long indicated that September marks the very peak of the Atlantic hurricane season, with September 10th each year considered the statistical high point of the season. Yet this year, contrary to expert expectations and coastal residents' concerns, the current weather map paints a surprisingly calm picture. To help you visualize, throughout the past week, satellite imagery covering the Atlantic has shown large bursts of convective cloud activity, with red, orange, even black spots on the screen, signs of cold cloud tops, meaning strong thunderstorms. However, what meteorologists have been waiting for, a clear low-level circulation, a closed convective system to form a tropical depression, has been entirely absent. That is the key difference between violent but harmless thunderstorms and a true tropical storm. Looking across the entire basin, three areas stand out. First, along the U.S. East Coast, a cold front has been producing widespread thunderstorms, but this is a mid-latitude weather system, not a tropical one. Second, in the Caribbean and Leeward Islands, a few tropical waves have brought heavy rain, but the atmosphere is too dry for further development. And finally, off the coast of West Africa, several strong waves are moving westward, yet most remain at higher latitudes, quickly suppressed by wind shear and dry air. In short, there is activity, but no circulation. Against this backdrop, many are asking, do the major forecast models, the essential tools of meteorologists, detect any hidden signals in the next 7 to 14 days? That is the central topic of our analysis, based on four main data sources: the ECMWF, Euro, the GFS, the Euro AI, and ensemble guidance, often compared to a poll of opinions among dozens of model members. ECMWF, the European model. First, the ECMWF, commonly called the Euro. For many years it has been considered the most reliable model for tropical storm forecasting. Its latest runs suggest that in the next 5 to 7 days, some scattered convective clusters may appear off Africa, but not enough organization for the NHC to classify. Even the familiar L symbol for a low-pressure center is missing. Around day 8 to 10, the Euro occasionally hints at an interesting scenario, a weak circulation forming offshore, drifting into the ocean, and dissipating without land impact. A common pattern, a short-lived system forming at sea and vanishing nearer the coast, particularly the southeast U.S. and the Bahamas. The Euro suggests a shallow low link to a stalled front, but in most runs it never develops further. GFS, the American model. Next is the GFS, the American global model. If the Euro is cautious, the GFS is often criticized for changing its mind. In recent weeks it has swung between extremes, one day showing a strong storm in the southwest Atlantic, the next erasing the signal entirely. At times, it paints a hurricane threatening the Outer Banks, the following day, nothing. The GFS also seems fond of a mechanism known as the Central American Gyre, CAG, a broad low-pressure area over Central America. Occasionally, energy from this gyre spills into the Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico to form a tropical depression. But in the GFS runs, this scenario is constantly delayed, pushed further into the future with each update, lowering confidence. Many forecasters now treat the GFS as a secondary reference, not a primary warning source. Euro AI, the machine learning version. Recently, Euro AI, an artificial intelligence version trained on ECMWF data, has drawn attention. Unlike the GFS, Euro AI is even more conservative than its parent. Its latest runs show no support for tropical cyclone development in the next 10 to 15 days. If any signals appear, they are weak, short-lived systems drifting offshore. The philosophy is clear. Issue forecasts only when signals are strong and consistent. Ensembles, when models debate. Finally, ensembles. This approach reruns a model dozens of times with slightly varied starting conditions to gauge forecast certainty. The ECMWF ensemble of 51 members shows a few faint clusters off Africa, scattered widely without strong consensus. The GFS ensemble, though smaller, is more eager, with some members depicting African waves developing, even hinting at lows near the southeast U.S. coast. But ensembles only gain reliability when many members converge on one outcome. At present, signals remain too scattered, many voices, no chorus. 3 seeds to watch. Summing up the analysis, 3 regions deserve cautious monitoring. Though signals remain weak, the MDR, main development region, off Africa, where tropical waves typically begin. Currently limited by Saharan dust and strong shear. But conditions could flip quickly if the MJO shifts into a favorable phase. The southeast U.S. and Bahamas, where small near-shore lows can spin up along stalled fronts. The Central American gyre, potential source of tropical cyclones if energy escapes into the Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico. These 3 are like seeds in dry soil. They may sprout, or they may wither. Our task is patient observation. Today's U.S. weather. Beyond the tropics, today's U.S. weather has key highlights. Florida. A stalled front keeps the region hot, humid, and storm-prone. Expect repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms, with risks of localized flooding and lightning in the evenings. Northeast. A weak offshore low brings light rain to New Jersey, New York, and southern New England. Not a major event, but enough to disrupt rush hour. High Plains, Texas to Kansas, isolated strong storms possible, with gusty winds and small hail. Local weather offices have issued a 1/5 severe risk. Great Lakes and Upper Midwest, scattered evening showers, while cooler, drier autumn air gradually spreads southward, bringing a refreshing fall feel. Outlook for the rest of the season. One crucial reminder: current calm does not mean the season is over. History has often shown strong storms forming in late September and October, sometimes striking land unexpectedly. Today's quiet could simply be a pause before renewed activity. U.S. climate forecasters note, from mid to late September, as the MJO shifts to a convective phase, the odds of Atlantic storm formation will rise again. Meanwhile, ocean heat content in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico remains very high, ready to fuel any incoming system. History also warns us, many of the strongest hurricanes of recent decades, such as Michael, 2018, or Wilma, 2005, formed and peaked late in the season. To assume the peak date has passed quietly and let down our guard could be a serious mistake, ladies and gentlemen. To summarize today's bulletin, despite the peak of the hurricane season, the Atlantic Basin is still showing no clear signs of tropical cyclone formation. The major models, Euro, GFS, Euro AI, and Ensemble, all show weak, fragmented, and inconsistent development scenarios. The 3 areas to watch are the MDR off the coast of Africa, the southeast U.S., Bahamas, and the Central American gyre. In the U.S., thunderstorms continue to cover Florida. The northeast has light rain. The high plains have a risk of severe thunderstorms, while the west has only a few light showers. Cool fall temperatures are gradually spreading across the east. Again, let me emphasize, today's calm does not mean the end of the hurricane season. September and October still pose many potential risks. So, continue to follow the bulletin daily for the fastest and most accurate updates.